Good morning, everyone. So we're here to talk about the size of your company and the size of your reputation. And really, this is about how an employer brand can help you to punch above your weight, as everyone is competing in the same talent pool for those special talent and the people that you really, really want to recruit, especially in things like digital marketing or specialist subjects. So just to say who we are, that grinning person is me, obviously, and that lovely poised person on the stool is Sara, who's the head of marketing for Forrest Brown, and I'll hand over to her to talk a little bit about what Forrest Brown does.
Thanks, Lizzie. Who are Forrest Brown? I guess none of you have heard of us. That's fine. We're only 52 people. We're a tax consultancy based in Bristol. We've got an office in London, and we just do one thing: research and development tax credits. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm looking at this guy too. Tax is boring, right? We all know that. R&D tax credits, what are they? Well, R&D tax credits reward innovative businesses for their investment in research and development. And what that means for the companies that we work with is either tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of pounds back to their businesses each year from the government. And they use that money to grow, and it's really exciting. The stories they tell us are of how they've pushed their R&D forward with a new project, they've hired new staff, they've opened new offices. It's really heartwarming. I'm just looking at that chap and laughing. To understand where we are today, I need to tell you about where we've come from. So Forrest Brown started in September 2013 with a man called Simon Brown. He was an accountant with an idea. He had no offices, no staff, and no clients.
That's not Simon, by the way.
No. And with no outside investment, 3.5 years later, today he's built a business which has doubled in turnover each year, and last year delivered £50 million for our clients. His vision for a tax business was a little bit different. We don't look, I don't believe, like your normal tax business. We look more like a digital agency. There's no ties and there's no timesheets here. There's more trainers, beer fridges. It's a very nice environment to work in. But actually, his business is founded on technical excellence, and for us that means recruiting people of the highest standards and also asking them to deliver in a very meticulous way. I mean, that just means client service. Okay. So last year was a really big year for us. We grew up a lot, we found our confidence. Things started to get serious at Forrest Brown. I'm just going to show you a few photos just so you can understand a little bit more about who we are. This photo here is of the team at Forrest Brown just before I joined at our second birthday, so it's actually in 2015. I hope you'll agree we look quite fresh-faced. And then just a year later, at our third birthday, we'd grown quite a lot. We've got a slightly different vibe. We kind of know where we're going. In the middle of last year, something really amazing happened to us, and we won a very prestigious award in our industry, the Taxation Awards. They're a little bit like the Oscars of the tax world, and so that really kind of set us on our way. We opened our office in London, and last year we hired 21 staff in total, and there's a picture of them here. Here we are. Just to give you a sense of the challenges that we faced, all of these people came to us via recruitment agencies. So you can imagine our bill for recruitment was pretty expensive. We also last year refined our corporate brand, and at the end of the year launched a new website. So by Christmas we knew who we were, and within our sights was the idea that with further significant growth we could help even more innovative businesses around the UK. Now normally when we talk about growth, there's two kind of issues that a smaller business might have. One is leads coming into the business and business development, and the other one is people. Now we're really lucky, touch wood, there's no wood, that actually leads are not our issue. A lot of our business comes to us via referral, and so our number one issue coming into this year was people. And the questions that we came to Lizzie and to Hodes with were, how do we continue to grow and grow very quickly whilst maintaining our startup familial culture and Simon's original vision? How do we attract highly qualified individuals and stand out from the crowd? And in the long term, how do we reduce our overall recruitment costs? So now Lizzie's going to tell you a bit more about what we've done.
So this is where Hodes stepped in, and if anyone doesn't know us, we are a premium creative agency for employers. We really do focus on creating employer brands, but also activating these across various touch points. So I won't go too much into who we are, but when Forrest Brown came to us, they came to us with these objectives. And originally it was, how do we actually attract more tax professionals? How do we specifically recruit? And we sort of took a bit of a step back and we looked at the fact that they had just redone their corporate brand, that they wanted to retain the amazing culture that they had created. And everyone kept on telling us they wanted to be true to Simon's vision. So we basically said, okay, we don't actually think that you need a talent proposition, which is really going out and recruiting for a specific pool of people. We actually think that you need a holistic employer brand that is not only going to help you compete with people like the Big Four and other R&D tax consultancies that are popping up, but also compete against your non-normal competitors for the kind of function roles and support roles that were growing as well. And to really help you stand apart from that and to define who you are so that you can actually retain both people and that culture. So a little bit about how we do that. We have these lovely 4 circles. If you've ever come and talked to us at Hodes, you will know these 4 circles. Very, very briefly, we think that there are 4 elements to an employer brand. And we think that there is the relevance element, so are we saying what the external candidates not just want to hear, but need to hear? What are they looking for specifically? The credible element, so are we saying something that is true? So when people come into an organization, are they actually seeing what we have said? Are we walking the walk as well as talking the talk? The aspirational side, or the stretch side, which is about really defining where that company is going. We kind of believe that all businesses are on a journey. No business is static. You're not staying in the same place. You're always evolving, always changing. And so it's really about bringing people on that journey with you as well. And finally, that differentiation. So what makes you different? Not just what makes you unique, but what puts you apart from your competitors, and almost what territories can you own? What can you say, this is the mix that is truly us? So to do that, we have this, and it looks, well, not that complicated, but we have a very clear process. I'm not going to go through it because process is very dull this early on a very hot morning. But I do very briefly want to talk a little bit about the research piece, because I'm going to show you some of the results from that. We think that all employer brands should be based on research and insight. And originally, we had said that we were going to talk to the senior leaders and the board members, do some focus groups, do some desk research. And Forrest Brown said, yes, and we also want you to talk to external candidates. And originally, I think because of Forrest Brown's size, we had said, oh, well, you know, maybe you don't want to invest that much, that type of thing. I think we were being quite polite. And they said, no, we want you to go out and find out what candidates are saying about us and what they... The brutal truth. Yeah, the brutal truth. And what they really want. So we also did some research externally as well. So when it came to actually delivering the employer brand, I'll hand back over to Sara to talk about this.
I love talking about this. For me, it's so interesting. So the internal views from the people that work at Forrest Brown are really exciting. I'm really proud to say that everyone that works at Forrest Brown really loves working there. And I know lots of people say that, but it's actually really true. People feel like they're empowered in their role to kind of make decisions and choose where they're going, and people are given the space to do that. And actually the work that we do with innovative businesses really excites all of us. And when the phone rings and a client tells us about the work that we've done and the impact it's had, it's really a good news story, and we all share in that success together. The most interesting part to this, I think, is what the external perception was at the time we did the research, which was at the beginning of this year, and really the mismatch between the two views. We're not very well known for our impact at all. People think we're tax boring traditional stereotype comes out. For us, the most interesting thing, I think, and it's not written on this slide, but it kind of was like the moment where it smacked us in the face, was people thought in Bristol that we were a claims processing centre. And when we heard that, we were pulling our hair out because we pride ourselves on our technical excellence, but actually, from a corporate brand perspective, that makes total sense because we're talking about our robust process. So it's kind of obvious. And then the thing that really stung is, I haven't got my glasses on, but the fourth point, which is we're perceived as a lower tier place to work. We were all crying in the corner when we read that. But actually, once we recovered, we thought that's a fantastic opportunity, and I think Lizzie's going to tell you why.
Yeah. So just a couple of points that Sara mentioned there, which is a piece around the corporate brand. So your corporate brand will say a specific message, or your consumer brand will say a specific message. And that's brilliant because it's aimed at that audience. But the employer brand is aimed at a completely different audience. And really those messages are very different, and you have to be able to reflect different things. So when we wanted to talk about what was different about Forrest Brown, we went in and really found these out and really defined the differentiators. And I'm again not going to read them out because everyone can read slides, but what was really compelling to us is that how strongly everyone felt about these, whether you were on the board or whether you were 3 weeks in, everyone could see that Forrest Brown really had these in spades. So when it came to the key themes, we defined these sort of four key themes that ran through everyone, and it was almost slightly alarming how everyone sort of said the same thing, and felt that sense of family and community. But it was very much around how proud everyone was to work for Forrest Brown and the work that they actually did. Part of it was being trusted, and that wasn't just trusted by clients; it was also trusted by colleagues. So that element of trust gave people a lot of freedom, and a lot of freedom to make decision making. And because they could do that, they then felt valued by the company, and really valued and rewarded for the work that they did. And ultimately, it was around working hard for real results that actually had an impact and a purpose. So part of our model is to develop these into 4 messaging pillars. These are the messaging pillars. I'm not, again, going to read them out. But very briefly, the first one was really around that trust and that autonomy and that sense of ownership and the ability to go away and actually do what was right for the client without having to check in all the time, without having to, confer and go through bureaucratic pieces. It was a little bit about that kind of agile partnership decision-making with clients. The second pillar was around that positive impact. I believe one of the comments we had was, we're like the good tax fairy. We give things back. So we wanted to bring that in, really that kind of positive impact that people had that made them feel so proud to work for Forrest Brown. And the next two were a little bit more around the specific culture. So Forrest Brown, as you saw in some of the photos earlier, is very much not a stuffy kind of office. When I went, it was very cool, very groovy. I liked all the meeting rooms with boxes outside that said mobile phones. You had to put your mobiles in there so no one was looking at them in meetings, which I thought was very refreshing. So it was really about that startup mentality. And again, being true to Simon's original vision, which is we're going to do things a little bit differently. And that fourth pillar is you can see around punching above its weight. So Forrest Brown really is more than the sum of its parts. And while it might be small in size, it's rapidly growing. And the impact that it's delivering, as Sara mentioned, 50 million back into clients, is huge. So that ability to sort of be small but flex your muscles like a miniature Popeye was very, very true. And so all of these 4 pillars then rolled up into one uniting rallying cry, which was share purpose, feel proud. Which really united everyone in the organisation and gave them something not just to strive for, but something to believe in. And it was that reason to come into Forrest Brown and stay at Forrest Brown. And one of my favourite pieces around this is, a lot of people talk about purpose and pride, but for me it was around sharing. So Forrest Brown was very generous consultancy. They're very generous with their time, with their attention, very generous with each other. They really do have a very warm feeling. And so the idea of coming into a shared purpose was really, really strong for them. And I'm just going to go now into how this was brought to life.
Being a Forrest Browner is more than a job. It's being hardworking. It's being generous. It's giving our clients the time, attention, and expertise they deserve, helping them push the boundaries in their industries and move research and development forward in the UK. It's a purpose we all share, and it's a purpose you can be proud to be part of. Share purpose, feel proud. It's not a lie what Lizzie was saying, actually. Before I came here today, some of the guys in the office were talking about this as a hashtag. Who came up with that hashtag? We love it. Literally. They go for a run in Bristol now and they'll post it on Instagram. Share purpose, feel proud. They're really living it.
We like to hear that.
So I think the next few slides are just going to show you the chosen look and feel that draw all this research together. We really feel that this visual representation positions us in a fresh and exciting way that's true to ourselves, and it suited our business ambitions, but also our personality. From my perspective as the head of marketing at Forrest Brown, what was also great about this is that this route was voted upon by staff that work at Forrest Brown. I was kind of sat at my desk, my fingers crossed, please pick this one. Luckily they did. So the illustrative components represent Forrest Brown and the bespoke, exciting work that we do, and the real-life photography connected to it visually shows how close we are and the impact that we have on our clients.
So yeah, it was just something that was quite playful, but also really showed the different sectors that Forrest Brown play in, because obviously R&D tax relief is quite frankly a universal piece for businesses across the UK, and really allowed Forrest Brown to set themselves apart. If you've ever seen any of the Big Four, and apologies if anyone's in this room, you will see that mostly it's photographs of lovely smiling people, which is fabulous. We like smiling people, but it's just lovely smiling people, and maybe there's a little bit of different graphic or interaction. And we really felt that this really meant something to Forrest Brown and helped them to stand out in a way that was very different, a little bit quirky, and a little bit friendlier than perhaps sort of less corporate, that less the tie and the suit feeling.
And then in terms of tone of voice, we came up with something that was professional, but not corporate, not boring. We didn't want to hide behind long sentences. We want to be simple, we want to be clear, and we want to be honest, i.e. we're humans here. And this is just an example of the kind of text that we're using in our assets and ads.
So we put together a brand book, and if anyone has ever looked through their corporate brand book, you know a little bit about what this might look like, but this is an employer brand book. So this went through not just the rationale behind the employer brand and the pillars and messaging, but also a little bit around how to use it. It contained things like a color palette, topography, tone of voice, how to position things and compose things when creating recruitment material. And this was because employer brands don't belong to the agencies that create them. They belong to the client, they belong to you, they belong to the business. And we need to make sure that you feel happy enough to take that away and use it yourself, because it's about you taking ownership of that employer brand. And really, it's not about even HR and recruitment having ownership of the employer brand. It's about creating something that can be used for line managers, for leaders, for hiring managers, for anyone who's doing assessors or being a campus ambassador, for example. Anything around this can really, really help people to understand what we're trying to say and how we're saying it. So when it came to activating this, I'm just going to show you a couple of pieces and then we will stop talking. But we first activated a new career site. And the reason for this is that your career site is often your sort of shop window, one-stop shop for people to go and find out more about the organisation. But more importantly, for us, a career site is an opportunity for candidates to select in or select out of even the application process and that recruitment process. And if your careers website doesn't reflect who you are as an organisation, what you expect from people and what you're going to give in return, then you're not allowing people to say, yes, that sounds like it's for me, or no, I don't think I want that in particular. And if you don't do that, you're just increasing your hiring times and the cost of the business. And then we also created, obviously, some beautiful recruitment marketing material, including lovely stands for careers fairs, online digital pieces, roll-up banners, print ads, the usual, I would say, as a sort of a bit of an asset toolkit.
This is everything all coming together, and I can't stress how delighted we are with the end product. We asked Hodes to deliver all of this work in just 5 months, and they really came up trumps. Our staff are really engaged around the brand, and from my perspective, it's really interesting because we found another way to talk about ourselves. So there's only so many ways you can cut R&D tax credits, but actually, with this brand, it gives us another talking point. And also the fact that we found Hodes, who for us have just been a brilliant cultural fit.
I'll pay you later.
Yeah.
We're very briefly going to just play this.
We're Forrest Brown. We're a firm of chartered tax advisors. We specialise in research and development tax credits. But we don't lead with number crunching. We lead with innovation, with energy, and with total trust in each other. We may be relatively small right now, but we're growing fast. We're already one of the UK's largest tax teams, focused only on R&D, and we've won awards for our work. We work closely with our clients, so closely that we don't just see the impact of our work, we feel it too. We work across all sectors, in industries like aviation, food and beverage, marketing, property, IT, travel, retail, construction, household goods, and oil and gas, to name just a few. And we're pretty good at what we do. Why? Because we trust each other to deliver. We're given space, time and support, so we have the opportunity to shine, both as a business and as individuals. We know suits don't equal outstanding work. That's why we don't wear suits at all. Instead, we build strong relationships. We give our time. We deliver outstanding results. And yes, we work hard, but we enjoy ourselves too. Being a Forrest Browner is more than a job. It's being dedicated. It's being generous. It's helping clients push boundaries and move their R&D forward. It's a purpose we all share, and a purpose you can be proud to be part of. Share purpose. Feel proud.
So in terms of 3 things that I want to leave you with, because I do believe it's quite important to sort of wrap this up into a nice summary that you can take away with you. That first one is invest, and that isn't a demand. That is basically just a reflection on the fact that often smaller companies or companies that are going through growth and change often rely a lot on recruitment agencies. And about 100% of Forrest Brown's new recruits and new hires were coming through recruitment agencies. And so really pushing up those fees and that cost to the business. And for around about, or just less actually, than the cost of yearly recruitment fees, we could deliver an employer brand, career site activation, and pieces like this, which really helps them to define who they are and gain more cut through. So over time they can reduce their reliance on recruitment agencies and recruiters going out to people. The second piece is about retention. And this is more really around the fact that employer brand isn't just about recruitment, it's also about making sure that the talent that you want to stay in the business does. And so looking at the kind of behaviours that you want and that are going to help deliver your brand and your business growth is a key part of the employer brand. And then finally, it's about standing out. So as I mentioned, I don't think any of the other competitors for talent that Forrest Brown have look and feel like this. And we all know that competition is hugely fierce. So anything you can do that really helps to change perception, increase your reputation, and really deliver on what it feels like to work where you are is going to be a very good investment. Because it's not so much about making sure that you stand out with something that's quirky or different. It's literally almost about sort of putting your money where your mouth is, and actually, again, walking the walk and not just talking the talk. We all say people are really important, but sometimes by the sheer dint of having invested in an employer brand can really help you do that. So those are my sort of 3 takeaways to hopefully inspire anyone who's going through this or doesn't have one yet to really think about what you need from an employer brand. That's it.